What's poppin', Big Headed fam? It's your boy Big Gutty. Thank y'all for tuning in with me on another one. If y'all new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because it lets you know when I drop. Now, in today's episode, we actually gonna be listening to this interview from Riley Gaines. And if you don't know who Riley Gaines is, basically she's a former college swimmer that faced adversity when they allowed trans people to swim with the girls. So we gonna get a bar of this, and y'all let me know what y'all think about the content in the comment section. Let's go.
Senior year rolls around. About midway through my senior year, I'm right on pace to achieve my goal. I'm ranked third in the nation behind one amazing female swimmer who I knew very well because, you know, like in most sports, your top tier athletes know of each other regardless of where you compete because you've grown up competing against each other.
That's facts.
So I knew this girl very well, trailing her by a few 100ths, tenths of a second maybe. But the swimmer who was leading the nation by body lengths, might I add, which is a very large margin in swimming, right? A sport that's measured down to the 100th of a second. This swimmer was leading the country by multiple seconds. Was a swimmer that I had never heard of before. And this is the first time that me and my teammates became aware of a swimmer named Ncaa Thomas. For all we knew at the time, right? Keep in mind we hadn't seen a picture of this person or else things would have been a little more clear. For all we knew at the time, this was a senior from University of Pennsylvania, which is not a school that historically produces fast swimmers. Now I would argue is not a school that historically produces really anything good. Leading the nation by body lengths, ranging in events from the 100 freestyle, which is of course a sprint, and all the freestyle events in between through the mile, which if you don't know swimming, right, think about this in terms of your Olympic runners, because that's like saying your best 200-meter runner is your best marathon runner. You and I both know that that doesn't happen. They're two totally different systems.
Yeah, it's two totally different systems. One got to have wind and one got to be fast.
But that's what we were saying in this person. So I'm scratching my head, right? I'm talking to my coaches, my teammates. Who is this person? We had no idea. And we continued to stay in the dark until an article came out. And in this article, very briefly disclosed in a blip of a sentence, as if we were really supposed to just read right over it. It says, Ncaa Thomas is formerly Will Thomas and swam 3 years on the men's team at University of Pennsylvania before deciding to switch to the women's team.
What the fuck?
And so when I read this, of course, I was shocked, naturally.
Yeah.
But really, it was kind of like the sense of relief that I felt. Because at this point, I went to look up who Will Thomas was. Because admittedly, I was curious. You know, was this a lateral movement? Someone who went from ranking amongst the best of the men to now continuing to rank amongst the best of the women? Which is, of course, not what we saw, right? We saw that this was a mediocre man, and that's generous at best, ranking 462nd in the nation the year prior when competing against the men.
Oh, yeah, so that's Boosie. So that means he was hella sorry with the guys, and he went out there with the girls, and he started shining. I think that shit shouldn't be fair. I don't understand how the Ncaa even allowed that, but let's go.
But that's why I say I felt relieved, because I thought that the Ncaa would see this how I saw it, and how, again, my teammates saw it, how my coaches saw it, how my family saw it, how anyone with any amount of brain activity would probably comprehend this.
Yeah.
Look, nothing hateful about it, nothing even opinionated about it. The sheer facts on the paper in front of us that this was not a lateral movement by any means. But lo and behold, the Ncaa did not see it that way. They saw absolutely nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, that ain't
And
cool.
so about 3 weeks before our national championships in March of 2022, they released a statement saying that Thomas's participation in the women's category was a non-negotiable. Basically saying that, look, there was nothing that we could do. As female athletes, there was no questions that we could ask or concerns that we could raise. We were told that we had to accept this with a smile on our face.
Yeah, that's hella weird because that's what they got different classes for, you know, men and women, you know. You can't have men competing against women because men are naturally stronger, so this ain't even fair, man.
So that's kind of the lead up to that national championships and really how myself and my teammates and really the nation, the world, actually found out about Ncaa Thomas. And I will say I'd heard of this happening in sports before, but I'd really only heard of it going the other way, right? So women females
facts,
who
facts.
wanted to self-identify as men, then going to compete in the men's category.
Yeah.
Which, look, I didn't ever agree with. I never necessarily supported it, but maybe at the time I didn't see a problem with it, right? Because no one's, I guess, competition, the men's competition isn't being threatened. Actually, in the sport of swimming, again, there is a swimmer from Harvard by the name of Skylar Baylor, competed on the women's team and then decided to switch to the men's team at Harvard.
But isn't there an issue, though, with steroids? Because if you're going to compete as a man, that means you're biologically transitioning. That means you're adding exogenous hormones, which would mean that you're taking steroids.
Right.
And you're allowed to do that if you're a woman transitioning to a male?
The NCAA's policy at the time was 12 months of HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and you can compete in the category that best suits you.
Right. So with Leah Thomas,
Yeah, that ain't
I'm
cool.
sure you got into this. What were the requirements that this 12 months? Is there an analysis of testosterone levels?
It was just 12 months. That's
That's
it. That's
it.
the
So-
only standard.
Yeah,
No
so it don't make
threshold.
no sense.
No one is actually checking to see if this person is actually taking estrogen or taking testosterone blockers or doing anything. You just have to say you're on this program for 12 months?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm not sure what the process looked like if they talked to Thomas's doctors. I don't know. But yeah, the policy that had been in place since 2010. So obviously
That's
this is a
crazy.
pretty old policy, 12 years at the time. That's what it stated.
Yeah.
So that policy's been intact for 12 years?
Correct.
Really?
And now NCAA, in true cowardly fashion, is changing course, right? They don't want to be responsible. They don't want to be accountable for this. So what they're doing now is a phase-out approach of this policy and leaving it up to each specific sport governing body to make their own rules, right? So now for swimming, they would resort to looking at World Aquatics or FINA, which is the international governing body. For soccer, they'd look at FIFA. For rowing, they'd look at U.S. rowing. They don't want a blanket policy anymore, and again, they don't want to be responsible or accountable.
So
Yeah, I think this shouldn't be fair no matter what, because it just don't make no sense that a male should be able to compete with a woman, you know. And I mean, of course, the male gonna win every time, so it's like it's just really unfair and it's not cool.
leaving it up to the governing bodies, and what decision have the governing bodies made?
Some have taken appropriate steps. I don't know of many sports that have been perfect, but swimming, for example, their policy now is if you've gone through male puberty, you can't compete with women, which they were really the first ones to take that bold first step in prioritizing fairness over inclusion. But the policy insinuates if you have transitioned by the age of 12, then you can compete with the women, which is not satisfactory. Even taking puberty blockers before the age of 12, there are still advantages that males possess over females.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't, it's the women's category.
Yeah.
It's not for men.
So, yeah, we're going to stop that right there, man. In my opinion, I mean, males should never compete with women because they have an unfair advantage. But that's just me. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the content in the comment section, and let me know y'all opinion. And until the next one, y'all stay safe out there.